you hear me? Sorry? Hello? Oh, what the hell is going on? I don't know. Can you hear me?
Have you got QPFL on or something?
No.
No idea. Okay, wait, maybe speak?
Hello?
I can hear you, but I can't hear me.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Through the microphone?
Yeah.
And I can't hear me at all?
Okay.
And I can't hear you? Oh, you know what? This is great.
Oh dear, this is a great start.
Oh.
So,
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Oh, Max! I know exactly what. Okay, so what I did was I made the logical decision to put other things that were close to each other because it was easier for my fingers. But what I didn't realise was actually you weren't mic 2, you were mic 3.
Yeah, I'm the green mic, as always.
Yeah. Well,
You're new to this, it's fine.
I am. Wow. I mean, you definitely get your money's worth every time you listen to a show without Colin.
Yeah.
Because it goes so wrong. It's like it's intentionally wrong. And I don't mean for it to be wrong.
And on that news, Colin isn't here.
No, Colin's not here. Because if he was here, it wouldn't already be a car wreck. It's fine. We're absolutely fine. The news is down. And usually I forget about that. I think I kind of timed everything right.
Yeah.
And then I forgot to put the right things. It's weird because now I think I can hear myself. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can still hear you. It's fine. It's all good. We're all good.
Oh, well. Anyway, get out your system. How do you feel?
Woo!
There you
I'm
go.
so happy. I'm just so happy. I was very, very, very excited at the time. I was very, 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 very excited. I just couldn't contain myself.
I mean, as someone who was a neutral, I was also very, 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 very excited. Because when I saw the score, obviously we'll go into the games properly, but like when I saw the score in the first quarter, it was Saints 13-0 up, I was like, here we go. Like, it could be a problem.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't watching the game live, so I didn't watch them until yesterday, properly anyway. And actually, it was a lot closer than I thought it was, just by the score, and then everything kind of worked out the way it did. Yeah, both games were actually pretty crazy. They got to their end in a very weird way, an unpredictable way.
Well, I'm not sure you can say the Chiefs-Patriots ended in an unpredictable way.
No, maybe
it
not.
Ended the same way as every single Patriots playoff Super Bowl game. Which is just Brady running it down the field to his star guys.
I know. Again, it's
Yeah, we'll go.
It's been a weird weekend. A great weekend though, given that both games went to overtime as well. So
yes. First time ever, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's first time ever that both conference championships have gone to overtime.
And I think that's a testament to the fact like we were struggling last week to kind of really nail our predictions. I think we all went 1 for 2.
So I said Rams Chiefs.
I said Patriots Chiefs.
Did Colin say Rams Patriots?
No, I'm sure
he said Patriots, didn't he?
Oh mate, yeah, he did actually. I think he did. Oh,
I think.
God.
Oh no. Okay.
I can't do it again. Not this year. I can't. We heard enough of the fact that he got the Eagles pick right last year.
I really hope he did.
Do you know what the best idea for us to do, right?
What?
Is when we do our prediction for the Super Bowl, I don't care if we actually agree with him, just agree with him. Because then that way, if he's right, we're right. And if he's wrong, it's okay. It's okay. That way we don't lose, I think is the way we should go with this.
But I can't pick against the Rams. So if he picks the Patriots, then...
Yeah, that's true.
I can't do it.
I can't even start to think about that because I haven't got a clue. But yeah, so obviously we will talk about the Super Bowl game itself, and we'll probably end up talking about it during this as well. But so I think we should probably start with the first game, which was the Rams Saints game, which
the rematch.
Yeah, very different. Well, both games were quite different to the earlier games in the season, which I kind of expected. But this game was really hard to kind of predict going in based on the fact that the Saints weren't playing the way that they had been, but then neither had the Rams.
No.
And so it was almost like something has to give. Either someone has to be worse than the other team today, or both teams step up, and it depends on which team steps up the most.
Yeah.
And I actually think the Rams defense was incredibly good at getting Thomas out the game. He was hardly a factor at all. It was more like the Kamara Ingram show, which they were able to contain. And then at the same...
Kamara had a huge game.
Oh, Kamara did.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't surprise me.
No.
What did surprise me was how... Because I appreciate the Rams' defensive backs are pretty good, especially when all of the stars, and particularly Talib's out there and healthy.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily think that they were capable of taking Thomas out to that extent.
No.
And it kind of reflects, actually, Brees' stats. He didn't... Probably one of the first games this year that he's actually not thrown for 10 yards and a completion, which for Brees this year in this offense has kind of been firing on all cylinders, is actually quite remarkable. But then at the same time, Jared Goff had... I mean, there were
first quarter stats were actually awful.
They were.
There was a point where Johnny Hecker had more throw. I'm fairly sure Johnny Hecker had more throwing yards than Jared Goff.
He probably did. But if you want just a clip to explain exactly why Jared Goff deserved to be even a one pick, just go watch the overtime.
Yeah.
Because the throws he was making off balance with pressure all around him were absolutely ridiculous. Like, they weren't big, but they got the first downs. They got them where they needed to be.
It's very much... We'll talk about the other game later, but it's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady, when he's in pressure in the fourth quarter or in pressure in overtime, he's not going to be doing that 60-yard bomb. He's going to be doing that 10-yard pass that gets him the first down.
Yeah.
And then he'll go into the next 10-yard pass that gets him the first down.
Yeah.
And that's just how it will go. He'll just work it up like that. And it'll be to Edelman, to Gronk. Edelman to Gronk.
You're right.
To Gronk, to Gronk, to Gronk, to Gronk, to Gronk.
Yeah. Well, they got their tight ends involved a bit more this game than they usually do, so maybe. But it was kind of Brady-esque. I know what you mean. It was nothing big, nothing flashy, but necessary.
Getting the job done.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very clinical.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still a 57-yard field goal that I think Zerline had to make. But he can do it.
He can do it.
He's
MVP for me. Great.
Yeah. And I think the big thing came at... Both games, I think, left a bitter taste in people's mouths because the Patriots won. It always does. Everyone,
No one likes it.
But I think the thing with this game, which... Now, I mean, I was out when this game was being played, but I still saw this on social media, the brief times I saw it, so I could tell it was a big deal, was this supposed missed call on the pass interference in the fourth quarter, which... it was a 3rd and 10, so what happened? I can't remember. Did you say you watched the fourth quarter?
No, I watched overtime.
Right, okay.
I had it on my phone.
So what happened was Breeze threw a bomb to Ted Ginn. Great throw, great catch. Not quite in the red zone, but near in there. And the subsequent plays didn't really work out. So it was a screen, I think, to Thomas, which he dropped. And then a pitch to Kamara in the backfield, which he was lucky for them to actually give him a no loss on the play. It kind of looked like he lost, but whatever. And then the 3rd down was to the right-hand line. The defensive back, I can't remember his name. He has a really long last name. I'm not even going to pretend to remember what it was. And I have to admit, to me, it did look like about 3... penalties he committed at the same time. He wasn't looking when he wasn't looking at the ball when he made the tackle. It was clear pass interference because the ball, I don't think, was even halfway to the receiver before he tackled him, and it was a helmet to helmet. And you obviously the Superdome's loud, so every time they don't agree, you're gonna know about it. And it was like an explosion, and it was very clear what had happened. And the saddest part about it is the NFL have actually come out since and said, hey, you know what? We were wrong. The refs were wrong. It should have been called. And now I feel like the bitter taste left isn't the fact that the Saints lost. It's the fact that the Rams were sort of gifted this opportunity, which is sad given the season that they've had. Yeah,
I think it's good that they've come out and said that because it means that people aren't going to be arguing about it like, oh, was it, wasn't it? It's just kind of settled the debate like, yes, it was pass interference. The refs just made a mistake. And I think that is part of sporting is that
Yeah.
you will get your lucky breaks based on like just what happens.
Yeah.
So the refs don't see something or see something differently.
Yeah.
And we see it in other games, and we've seen it in games throughout the year. And it's just going to be the way it goes. I mean, as a Rams fan, I'm quite happy about it. But I mean, there were other calls that sort of didn't go the Rams way. When I was watching in the second quarter, there was one where there was a clear pass interference on a 3rd and 7.
Yeah.
And that meant it went to 4th and 7, and I think it was punted.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
If we'd have got that, then we'd have potentially gone up the pitch. And
yeah, and you're right about what you say about how now there's nothing to debate about, there's nothing to argue about, because everyone involved has agreed. And in a way, it's kind of like the most controversial call.
Yeah.
Because when you think about, like, say, the Des Bryant catch, is it a catch? Isn't it a catch? The refs were adamant it wasn't. Everyone else is adamant it was, and we still argue about it. And now we have a different rule. The Tuck rule thing with, it's a stupid rule. Everyone agrees it's a stupid rule. That's why it's no longer a rule. And then the argument is, well, it was a fumble, and if it was called a fumble, the Raiders would have won that game, and then the Patriots would never have gone to their first Super Bowl with Belichick and Brady. So there are big implications, but the difference with those two, and those are just two examples, is the fact that no one could agree. Yeah. Whereas in this one, it is pretty clear that everyone sees it. But then, like you say, and there was a missed call even the drive before for the Rams, a face mask. And, okay, does it have the same implications? You don't know. And it's hard to kind of deal with these ifs. Because maybe the Rams wouldn't have scored a touchdown. I don't know. Had they and the Saints then not scored a touchdown, the Rams would have won anyway. So, I don't know. I guess at least in a weird kind of way, them getting the interception in overtime kind of vindicated everything.
Yes.
Because it's like, you had your chance, we took it away from you, and now we're going to win.
Yeah, because that's kind of why I said to Max earlier, I did literally scream when so I was watching the overtime and I literally screamed at that point in the show because I wasn't expecting it, and because the Saints had all the cards in their hand to win. Yeah, they'd won that toss, and so they just had to walk it down the field, get either a field goal and then stop the offense, or get a touchdown and win the game. Yeah. And the Rams defense came up big and got the interception.
It was. It was great pressure. I'm not quite sure what Breeze was trying to do. Like, there was a receiver in sight, because it was weird, because what actually happened...
He was knocked at the time, wasn't it?
He was
knocked as he was throwing.
And then he threw it, and it was... It just did not look like a good idea. But the weirdest thing is actually the guy that ends up intercepting, I think it might have been Joyner, I can't remember. He actually falls off of the guy he's covering because there's been a bit of shoving. He falls over, but as he's falling over, he's actually falling right into the perfect spot, which is just unfortunate for the Saints. I think, because I remember saying this last week, how it seems that when Breeze loses these games in the playoffs, it always comes down to something that he can't control on the field. And he'd never lost at home in the playoffs, and there's so many kind of things about Breeze in the playoffs and home field advantage, and that was the thing that everyone was building. It was like, if the Saints get home field advantage, there's no way they lose, right? But I think
it was very loud. You saw in the first quarter just how much that stadium had an effect on the Rams. Yeah. You just see Jared Goff on every play, like trying to squeeze his helmet in, like, I literally can't hear anything. And it was completely disrupting the Rams, meaning that Saints went 13-0 up, and at that point, it's their game to lose.
But, well, this is the interesting thing, right? So the argument, obviously, that every Saints fan will make until the day they die, you just know it, is that they were obviously screwed. But then I would argue that, and this is kind of the thing about penalties in general, and it's not about refs handing out these penalties, it's the fact that teams and fan bases in particular seem to think that it's the penalty that decides the game. The Saints were in the red zone 3 times in the first quarter and scored 13 points. Okay, one of those times was the unfortunate interception. It came out the hands of the receiver. It was the Goff throw to the receiver. It came straight out of his hands into the defensive back. So you're already almost straight in the red zone that time. You can't get anything done there. Eventually they get the touchdown the third time. But if you were 21 points up, maybe they wouldn't have come back. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to get themselves back in the game in the same way. Yeah. And so it bothers me that people then will then point, because I think we said last week how it's
a game never comes down to one moment.
Exactly, but in this instant, a game should never have to come down to a penalty. You should have to be.
They had 2 opportunities to get into the end zone before that third down.
Exactly, and you should never have to look to the penalty. You should never have to hope that the refs swing something in your favour. You should always be in a position to win anyway, right?
Yeah.
And it bothers me that now this is going to be the thing for the Saints going into next year. Oh, we were screwed out the penalty. Well, if they called every penalty down the line, we'd probably have the same score because there were calls either way on both sides that didn't go the way it should have gone.
Yeah.
And then the game after, the calls that weren't being called in that game were being called in this game, and then certain ones weren't. And I get it's inconsistent. I get it's frustrating. And when you're watching and it's your team, it is the most frustrating thing because obviously you're seeing it from your perspective on screen. But I don't know. For me, the Saints didn't lose it based on that missed call. They lost it on the fact that they were inefficient in scoring at chances when they should have done.
And also, the Rams scored the field goal sort of at the last minute, that the Saints defense should have stopped the Rams when they were going down the field. All they had to do was get into field goal range and then kick it. And so the Rams are like, they've got Greg Zuerlein, a good kicker. We should be trying to stop them getting there. Exactly.
And like that goes back to obviously the way Goff was playing. It was insane the way he was playing. But when a guy's playing that well, there's kind of a fine line between he's playing so well there's nothing you can do, and he's doing things that he shouldn't be able to do, that you should be doing your job on defense better. And I think it was a bit of both.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm taking nothing away from him. And I think that kind of brings me to a certain statement that has been sent by one Colin Goff, who kind of last week renounced his love, in a way, for Jared Goff. Because can you remember a time where no one believed in Jared Goff except Colin, and now everyone believes in Jared Goff except Colin?
Yeah.
So
just
I'm
going against the grain, doesn't he?
I guess. So let's get this up.
In news, Colin is on his way.
Colin is on his way. This is fun. Right. Last Thursday, and this is his words, by the way, obviously not mine, because I stuck up for this man. Last Thursday, I made certain comments regarding Jared Goff, esteemed quarterback for the Rams, indeed esteemed. I stated he was limiting the Rams' offense and that the team would be more successful with a different quarterback in place. Interesting. Interestingly, I stand by these comments, but I have to admit he's pretty clutch. The 2 overtime throws to Higbee in the face of immense pressure were the sign of a quarterback with remarkable instincts and an incredible ability to remain calm in the face of pressure. While Goff lacks in skill and talent, oh God, the sign of someone that is so resistant. What Goff lacks in skill and talent, he somehow, I don't know, I'm putting somehow in there because I don't really understand, he makes up for in sheer clutchness and level face of immense pressure. Oh, that makes no sense. Anyway, what Goff lacks in skill and talent, he makes up for sheer clutchness and level-headedness. Fair play, Jared. Looks like you proved 2017 Colin right after all. Well...
So, I mean, he has to be right, so...
I mean,
either
he has no skill and talent, but he's clutch. I guess Bortles is clutch because he gives everyone the win except himself because he has no skill and talent. I guess that's the only way you can accomplish both.
Bortles is occasionally clutch. He'll just sometimes decide he's good. But I'm not comparing Jared Goff to Bortles because Blake Bortles is actually a negative impact on the team, whereas Jared Goff, even if you don't like him, you'd say he's a neutral to positive impact.
Exactly, right? I was just about to say how it's funny how we brought up Bortles, and it reminded me how last week we kept bringing up Hasselbeck. And this is kind of like a bit of a tangent. I'm going to talk about it for a minute. I don't know if you saw that last week, because Hasselbeck's now an analyst, right? And he was on the NFL Network or some shit, I can't remember. And he said how a playoff contending team had called him a few weeks before the playoffs and asked him if he was game ready to come out of retirement to play because they needed him. Now, I don't think he's lying. But then I sat there and I thought, who the hell would that be? And the only team I can think is the Redskins, because when Alex Smith went down hurt, they were winning the division.
Yeah.
And they probably would have won more games than they did with Smith.
Yeah.
And Matt Hasselbeck is probably at 3 years retired or whatever he is, a better quarterback than Mark Sanchez and Josh Johnson. So maybe, but I don't know. If anyone has any ideas as to who he was talking about, I'd love to know.
Yeah, well, maybe. Imagine if he'd been in the playoffs. That would have been very amusing for us.
Because my other thought was, well, the only other guy that went down with it was Wentz. But there's no way the Eagles are making a call to Matt Hasselbeck.
No.
Like,
when you've got Nick Foles.
I mean, unless Hasselbeck's just, like, kind of putting the feelers out there, like, you know, maybe I still want to play. And he's lying, but he's getting people thinking, like, maybe he could.
An option.
Yeah, at 43 years old. Anyway.
He's 43 years old.
He's 43 years old.
Why
He's
would
been
you
retired
hire
for
him?
about 3 years. Yeah, okay, he had a decent career, but come on. Anyway, speaking of an old man, the AFC Championship game.
Oh, I can see what's that coming over the hill. Is
Oh
it
God,
a column?
here he is. I see him.
He's here.
I see him.
You've seen him in the mirror.
Yeah, I saw him in the mirror.
I'm gonna go let him in.
Okay, right. So we're going to let Colin in. This is very unconventional. We don't usually have drop-ins halfway through, but we also don't have people cancelling on us. So you know. Hello.
Hello, are we on air?
Yeah. No, we're just talking to ourselves for the last 23 minutes. Are we on air?
I don't know.
Well, we hope we are.
In fairness,
It's weird not having headphones on the studio. I can't hear anything coming out the...
in fairness, we thought that there was a problem until I realised that I'd put up the wrong mic for Mark.
Oh.
Mark was red until I realised he was actually green. It's fine. We weren't really talking about anything until
Buzz
then.
me in, buzz me in.
Bzz. Welcome to the show.
So,
I was looking at the colour and I still got
Can
that
you hear
wrong.
me now?
Welcome to the show, Colin.
I can
Yeah.
never hear myself. Your mic stand is rubbish.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sitting at a different spot than I normally do.
I know. The glass
I
is
am
steaming
Max. Yeah, I know.
up. Yeah.
I cycled over as quickly as I can. I just wanted to get in the studio.
Well, we've just kind of finished talking about the Rams game,
No,
and
did you read out my
I
Jared
read
Goff?
out your
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah, what did you
and
think?
I think you're ridiculous for thinking that he has no skill and talent yet is somehow clutch.
Yeah. The two are distinguishable.
Okay, so
Okay,
is he
explain-
clutch or is he lucky then? Because I think if you have no talent,
He's
then it means
clutchy.
you're lucky.
Clutch key. He's clutch with a big dose of lucky. He's Clutch Key McVeigh. That's officially the new nickname for this Rams team. Did you see how I was right though?
About what?
2017 column. So I've discovered this Jared
So
Goff
you're
saga.
right about being wrong about being right.
So what this Jared Goff saga has taught me is you can always be right in an argument if you argue against yourself from like 2 years ago.
Wow.
So I might just start doing this now. I'm going to make a list of all the things I argued
Okay.
2 years ago. and
So
start
you're on
arguing
board
opposite.
with the idea that Cam's a bad quarterback?
No, because that's just preposterous.
Right.
Yeah, but if you start
I-
arguing
like-
that now, then it means that if he's good, you can be like, oh yeah, past column was right, and if he's
No,
bad,
but
then
past
you'll be like,
and
I'm
present
right.
column is
Okay,
right in
so
that respect.
can you explain what the difference is between Goff and Balls for me? Because both guys got to the same position, except one guy won and one guy lost.
Do you know what? I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Oh, here we
Max.
go. Right, okay.
You know, I understand you don't like Jared Goff.
I love me some Goff.
Why, thank you. That is my surname for those of you who didn't know. Right, the difference in Goff and Bortles is, firstly, Bortles is trash. Goff is not quite trash.
Not quite.
Bortles is hot trash.
Okay.
Goff is not trash.
Right.
There you go. There's a catchphrase for this show. Secondly, well, do you know what, actually? I was going to start saying Goff has McVay, yada yada. Is it Nathaniel Hackett was the coordinator for the Jags? I don't think he did a bad job. He got quite a lot out of Bortles, and we saw towards the latter stretch of last season that Hackett had some kind of weird ability to make Bortles quasi-relevant and dupe certain people, such as me, into thinking he was a top 20 quarterback, which I don't think Bortles is a top 100 quarterback at this stage, but, you know.
No. Interestingly, we've just been talking about Hasselbeck, and I actually think Matt Hasselbeck is better
Why
than...
does he get such a mention on our
because
show?
I don't know if you've seen it, but apparently, we've already said this, but apparently, he said last week on a show that apparently he got a call from a playoff contending team.
Wait, Mark got a call?
No,
Yes.
Hasselbeck.
Matt Hasselbeck got a
I
call.
got a call. I'm going to play for the Rams in the
yeah.
Super Bowl.
That
You're replacing Goff.
a playoff team wanted him game ready And the only team I can think he's talking about is the Redskins. Because they were playoff in the...
They were in the hunt, weren't they?
They were in the hunt before Smith went down. And obviously they weren't going to win anything with Sanchez and Johnson. But anyway, the point is...
Interesting.
Is Goff is better than Hasselbeck.
Yes.
And Goff is better than Bowles.
I will agree there.
And Goff
is going to a Super Bowl. And
did you just say Goff's better than Drew Brees? Do you know what? Yeah, I'm with you. Drew Brees is trash.
Right.
Have we had this discussion yet? I'm joking, I am joking. Don't hate me, say
if Jared Goff beats Tom Brady...
Jared Goff is better than Tom Brady.
What we were saying last week was if Mahomes goes ahead and beats Brady and then beats Brees, like, that's something of significant accomplishment.
But Patrick Mahomes didn't lose that game. Like, in terms of Patrick Mahomes, he lost it because of a coin toss. Because I reckon whichever team won the toss would have just gone down the field and won the game.
Yeah, there is a wider point. Have we spoken about overtime rules yet?
No, we haven't yet. Because we were
weird joining a show halfway through. I have absolutely no concept of what's going on.
We were about to move on to the Chiefs game.
I bulldozed in with my hot Jared Goff takes.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Jared Goff does beat Brees, then
he has beaten Brees.
Sorry, Brady.
He's still in denial. It didn't actually happen.
Well, no, it did, and I was absolutely delighted, if I'm honest with you.
I'm sure you were.
I thought the Saints got a big fat dose of take that. A bit of Gary Barlow, Robbie Williams. If Goff does go ahead and beat... It's nice being in this chair. I feel like I'm more of an analyst than a presenter. If Goff goes ahead and beats Brady, and I put emphasis on Goff beats Brady, not McVay and the Rams beat Brady, then yeah, I will wholly retract everything bad I've ever said, which actually, in fairness, has only been over the last year. I did in the past say Jared Goff is a great quarterback and he'll have a great future.
Despite the fact that he had a better year this year, yet somehow was terrible.
I just see talent in untalentless people. It's a fault of mine, you know.
Is that why you like Cam Newton so much?
I was about to say it. It's the only plausible reason. That is the only plausible reason.
Well, shush. Let's pretend I never said that. Yeah, if Goff goes ahead and beats Brady, then fair play to him. And I think he came up clutch in the fourth quarter and in overtime.
Yeah.
And yes, we can talk about McVay's scheming. And in the third quarter, I was ready to come on the show and just talk about how... Well, I wasn't because I didn't think I was going to be coming on. But I was ready to come on and just be like, look how, I'm right. I was gonna wear a white t-shirt. I was gonna make a sign that said, yes, I'm right. And I was gonna wear it proudly on this show. And then I remembered I wasn't going to the show.
And that you were wrong.
Now I'm here.
Yeah.
And Goff proved me wrong. We can talk about McVay's scheming all you like, and we can talk about how he schemed Higbee open. We can talk about this. We can talk about that. But
we can talk about how Ndamukong Suh's finally decided he wants to play American
Has he
football.
though? I thought he was
now
pretty trash in that Saints game. He looks a bit
Did you
slow.
not see him pancake Breeze? Literally at one point I thought Breeze had broken his back.
Breeze is about 2 foot tall though, so
yeah, true. It's not hard, is it?
McVay schemed the receivers open, yes, but I think I could count on my two hands, which doesn't sound that great, but in the context of 32 starting NFL quarterbacks, that's quite a lot. I could count on my two hands the number of quarterbacks who are cool enough and calm enough and collected enough to be able to make the throws that he made with two Saints players right in his face, or breathing down his neck, or just all around him. One of which is Cam Jordan, who, despite being pretty trash, is a very big guy.
Did you just call Cam Jordan trash?
Yeah, I did. I hate Cam Jordan.
Also,
Cam Jordan's only sack in that game was when he was put one-on-one with the tight end. I'm sorry, but like, tight ends are not offensive linemen. They're not designed to pass block.
Unless you're getting past Gronkowski like that, then.
Yeah, but Gronk is a run blocker, not I don't know enough about blocking styles and techniques to be able to comment, but what I will say is Cameron Jordan is not a friend of the show. Or not a friend of my corner of the show. Anyway.
Should we move into
I feel like I'm just rambling. I have a lot to say about that game. I'm sure you've said it all.
Chiefs, Pats,
anyway,
Chiefs, Pats.
so obviously the Patriots win in overtime.
I fell asleep.
It was a crazy game. So obviously I was actually still
awake. I was
awake.
awake for the overtime, but I missed the first 3 quarters.
I was awake through all of this.
Were you keeping track?
I'm not gonna lie, man. It was a weird night. So at certain points, I was really keeping track. At other points, I was really not. At one point,
club watching the game.
No, seriously. At one point, it was 17-7, and all of a sudden the Chiefs were winning with about 2 minutes to go. I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
But that right. So this is what I'll say about this.
What a
right?
game! What a game!
It was a great game, but what made it so great was, despite Patrick Mahomes winning, he has proven he is here and he is here to stay. because you can't just do that.
No,
He
not
did
against
not
a
lose
Belichick defense.
No, he did not lose that game. I would actually like to give a shout out actually to the people that I do blame for losing this game.
Oh, hit me.
So, Chris Jones, Derek Nadi, Alan Bailey, Justin Houston, Anthony Hitchens, Reggie Ragland,
Not
Dee
Reggie
Ford,
Ragland.
Stephen
Not Dee
Nelson,
Ford.
Kendall Fuller, Eric
Not Kendall
Berry,
Fuller.
Daniel
Not Eric
Sorensen.
Berry. Not Daniel Sorensen.
Oh yeah, let's even go Justin Hamilton, Xavier Williams, Justin Hamilton again because apparently he plays two positions. I'm not even going to try and pronounce
He's
this
one of
guy's
them
name. Dorian O'Daniel,
That's how quite
Breland
easy to pronounce.
Speaks,
I think you should try and
Trayvon
pronounce a name
Smith,
that you didn't want to
Javarius
pronounce.
Ward, Eric Murray, John Lucas. Basically anyone that plays defense because you're a liar. Because you don't. Because no one played defense. Oh, and lining up in the goddamn neutral zone. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so
I mean,
sad.
you could have parked a bus in between the gap. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about calls, but that... I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
he
what
deserved to have a flag in his back pocket and flag himself.
Yeah. I thought the defense played all right for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, they just let Michelle just stroll right into the end zone.
Yeah.
You know what I was saying about turnstiles and the Seahawks?
And here's the thing: we were talking earlier. I forgot his name. Tony Romo. Tony Romo called every play.
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
that was incredible.
The Patriots were doing in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter and in overtime.
Yeah.
Now, if I know Tony Romo's special, but if Tony Romo special, if he can just call the plays from up in his box, then surely someone on the defense can
I guess the problem is
remedy it.
Romo obviously is basically a genius at this stage.
Yeah.
He's achieved Einstein status. Also, he's got quite a nice view, and when he sees things that are happening that well, actually, I don't know. You would like
As a coordinator, if you're sat up in the box, you probably would see the same thing.
yeah, but then I guess the difficulty is getting the message to the entirety of the
Yeah.
defense because you only have your headset in. Is it the middle linebacker you normally have it in?
Yeah.
Or your caps of the defense or whatever.
I guess as a quarterback, if he was an offensive coach, it'd be perfect. But even then, the fact that he was kind of calling what the defense should have been
do,
doing, I'm
yeah.
like, could you be a defensive coordinator? Because you kind of could.
Could you be a
Right.
head coach?
I tell you what, right? If Jerry Jones wants to keep it in the family, he should definitely hire his son Tony Romo.
Gruden went from the
because
commentary box, didn't he? After
10
a
years,
significant
yeah.
amount of coaching
Yeah, but the thing
experience,
is Romo is already a better football mind than John Gruden. I'm sorry, it's just true. It's just true.
That's a big statement.
Okay, I know Romo played, so it's different. But Romo was also a fantastic player who is arguably deserving of conversation of Hall of Fame because statistically is one of the greatest of all time. I know his accomplishments aren't
he
there.
seems like a really nice guy.
He does. But if we're going to say Phillip Rivers is about there, Romo is definitely there because Romo is...
I think this is a show we should have. We should do a
I
show on
know,
like Fringe
but
Hall of Fame players.
The point is Romo...
Is there a Hall of Fame for commentators?
I don't know.
No, I don't
Probably
think so.
not.
There should be
But the
one.
point is
There should be
it
We
was
can make
like...
one right here.
Yeah.
It was like Romo was playing Madden and decided this is
Yeah.
how the game's going to go, and he just did it.
Romo strikes me as the kind of man who runs an incredibly successful and incredibly efficient under-9s football team. Do you not think? And like, has taught this 9-year-old quarterback basically how to be an NFL star, and they're running like jet sweeps and motions and all this stuff. And the other coach on the other side was just this really fat like soccer dad, and he's like, I don't know.
But yeah, so
But yeah,
getting back to the game
what about
somehow.
Andy Reid and kind of just, I will admit I fell asleep after the third Chiefs touchdown about 2:30. I just
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of tweets saying Andy Reid's play calling and just kind of general management of the game went absolutely to poo pants in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Which is interesting given that they scored 24 points.
Is that
But-
just complete rubbish then? He doesn't really
No.
have control of the defense, does he?
Oh, defensively, no one had control.
Yeah.
Because defensively, no one was playing. It was abysmal to watch.
There
And
was a really interesting stat pass that popped up during the game, and I genuinely shocked me. The Chiefs' defense, it's gotten a lot of credit over the last few weeks, but it's genuinely ranked something like 29th against the run, 32nd against the pass, 31st overall.
they were
throughout the
by
regular
far the worst
season.
defense
But
of
don't they
his
have
four.
like second largest number of sacks or something.
Yeah, they're good.
They're a
good
sack and a
pass rush.
turnover defense. I think we spoke about it briefly last week. But for Mahomes and that offense to really drag that defense into the playoffs, and then to be let down by them in overtime. I think that I've said this a lot. The college overtime rules. So for those of you who don't know, in college, when the game goes in American football, proper NFL, that's what you call it. When the game goes to overtime, you just flip a coin, and whoever scores a touchdown first wins, basically.
Well, it's not even that now. It's just score, isn't it?
Isn't it? If you score a field goal, the other team gets an opportunity to score a touchdown, and if they can't score a touchdown or a field goal, then you win.
If they score a field goal, then it just carries on, and its next score wins. Which,
as we've seen in the Patriots-Chiefs game, gives an incredibly undue advantage to whichever team wins the coin toss, particularly if it's a battle of two high-flying offenses.
Yeah.
In college football, what they do instead is they put the ball on the 20-yard line, I'm going to say. It might be 25 or something like that. And the clock is off. No, they do not fight it out, Mark. The clock is completely off, and you just have to... you still have the down system, so it's a 1st and 10 from the 25, and you've just got to. It's essentially a penalty shootout, but like offense. So if you score a touchdown, you get as many plays as you want within the down system. So if you get to 4th down and you want to take a field goal, you can do that. If you get to 4th down and you convert it for the 1st down, you get a fresh set of downs, and then obviously you're nearer to the goal line. And then whatever happens at the end of your series, so either touchdown, field goal, no points. If the opposition team can better that, they win. If they tie it, you just do it all over again. And if they don't get equal to it, then you lose. And I just think it makes it incredibly exciting. It's honestly one of the most exciting things to watch, is a live college football overtime. And B, just makes a hell of a lot more sense because it's suddenly much more a battle of minds. And let's be honest, the NFL games are won and lost in the red zone in general.
Yeah.
Obviously, you obviously get the big chunk plays, but the majority of the time you're going to get down to the end zone with either lots of little plays or one big play, and you're going to have some kind of scheme in your head to out-scheme the opposition defense.
Well, that's exactly what we were saying about the Saints game.
Yeah.
I argue the Saints lost it in the first quarter because they failed to score 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And that, I'm not going to say that that's where the great coaches are made and lost, or that's where the great players are made and lost, but I will say you find a hell of a lot more success with really good play callers or really good coaches and really good players with really good execution in the red zone than you would with, say, someone like Bortles. If Bortles and Goff, to use this comparison, both had McVay, no matter how good McVay is, you still, in the red zone, you require a more than adequate quarterback, which Bortles is not and Goff is. So Goff would have success in the red zone, Bortles will not. So in that way, it's using the college overtime rules is a way of a further way of just kind of dividing who deserves to win the game based on the quality of the players, not just on the luck of a coin toss. And I'm not going to say, I don't necessarily agree with you, Mark, that the game was lost in the coin toss, because obviously, they played 60 minutes. There was more Kansas could have done. They could have not gone, was it 14-0 down, 17-7 down, etc., etc.
But I think at that point, they could have stopped Brady on the 4th quarter, but as soon as they tied it, and I got the feeling that whoever won the coin toss would win the game, because it was...
What did you make of Brady's performance?
I think the
4th quarter, which is what I saw, was just classic Brady. It was...
The interception stat is inaccurate.
The Edelman.
Yeah, the Edelman, that was completely Edelman's. Do you know what, actually? I don't think Edelman had that great a game.
No.
He dropped
nearly
things.
muffed the punt return. Yeah, that was so tense.
That was ridiculous.
I remember Tony Romo, I was Tony Romo in that moment, because he was so goddamn excited.
Yeah.
He was like, did it touch his shoulder? I don't know. Yeah. What do you think, Jim? And then was like, Jim Nantz obviously was trying to speak, and he was like, my baby, it touched his thumbs. We've got to look at the thumbs, Jim.
The thing is, though, is Edelman was absolutely determined to convince everyone he hadn't, and you couldn't see enough to change it.
I don't think he did, but I think the refs got the call wrong on the field. I don't think I initially thought he had touched it, in fairness, but that was from the broadcast angle.
But do you know what, though? This goes back to what we were saying, how the refs call plays dead too quickly, the Browns-Ravens game. I'm glad they let it do what it was going to do,
score the touchdown,
and then review it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like the Jags Patriots game in the AFC Championship last year when Miles Jack
he strip sacked.
Was it strip sack or
whatever?
Oh
no,
it was a
Dion
fumble
Lewis, wasn't it?
on Dion Lewis, and he was returning it for the touchdown, and they blew it up because they didn't think it was a fumble, and actually when it was reviewed and it was a fumble, they only got the ball at the 40-yard line instead of getting 7 points, or 6 points, with pending the extra point conversion. I thought Brady... I put a tweet out. I don't know if well, you obviously didn't see it, Mark, because you don't have Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, Max, and I was like... hang on, let me just find... I don't want to do my tweet disservice because it was absolutely bomb. It was one of my best tweets that I think I've ever put out. It was about Brady. It was about the Patriots offense. It was tongue-in-cheek. Patriots fans, don't hate me for this. Also, have we spoken about Trubisky making the Pro Bowl?
No.
Okay, well, I have a big old rant prepared for that.
We can do that.
Ready? Tom Brady is so good at handing the ball off, one of the league's best. That should have gone viral, I think, personally. If you'd like to make it go viral, follow me on Twitter at ColinG26. And while you're at it, follow the NFLementary account.
They had a great running attack, but equally Brady probably played his best game of the season. It was just
I think
it was just
much
classic.
better against the Chargers.
Nah, it was clinical. It was classic. It was everything that he was supposed to do.
Him picking his favourite receivers and being like, "I'm going to trust you."
Gronk showed up.
Exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
It's really interesting hearing the commentators talk about Gronk, because they're like, Gronk has had probably one of his best seasons as a tight end, not in his receiving but in his blocking.
Yeah.
And how much
Gronk's always been an incredible blocker, hasn't he?
But apparently more so this season. Like, his blocks have just been sort of on another level. Like.
Well, they're just using him essentially as a sixth offensive lineman.
I think there's two things with that though. The first thing is that this is what the Patriots do when they get to the playoffs. Suddenly, players that haven't really been doing much suddenly come out and do things. And secondly, it's pretty clear that this is going to be his last run. I don't think he's back next year because he is just too broken down. And I think mentally he's proven he doesn't...
I think his mind's potentially in a different place.
Last year, obviously, straight after the Super Bowl, he contemplated retirement, which you can kind of understand after a loss like that. And obviously his body is so broken down. But there was a few reports a couple of weeks ago, his friends saying, he loves the sport, but he just can't do it anymore.
You can tell in the way he runs. It's just like... he's never been like a quick guy, but the way he's
lost like the zip, hasn't
he?
Yeah,
properly
it looks more like
now.
I was just about to use that word.
Oh, nice.
But he is still effective as a guy that he can throw the ball up.
Yeah.
He's like Des Bryant if Des was better at contested catches, because
his physicality is
and
insane.
just like being your guy to throw the ball to when you need, like we were just saying about red zone, a fade to Gronk in the red zone one-on-one is as effective as a lot of other passing plays. He is one of the greats. I wouldn't say the best tight end of all time, but definitely deserving of that conversation, I think.
But I think what will hinder him in that conversation is his longevity. He didn't have it.
I think that it's also as well the fact that he was considered the great for such a long period of time, but these last 2 years, other names have begun to overtake him as that number one, or even in the past 3 years with Kelsey, and this year with Kittle. Other names are beginning to overtake him, so he's not. When he retires, he won't necessarily be thought of as an enduring great like Gonzalez was, or potentially Shannon Sharp.
A very different type of. I know this is a different conversation, a different day, but he's a different tight end to them. Yeah, they are more sort of speedy and big, and sort of they kind of play
like run after the catch monsters, basically.
Yeah. Quick. Whereas Gronkowski is just.
He was an all-round guy, wasn't he?
I can be put in triple coverage, and I'm so big that I can just like spread my wings.
Was he a second-round pick?
Complete freedom.
Yeah. What a pick!
I think actually thinking about it, when you think about what the Patriots did in the last few years, they've kind of gone through periods of who. So like Brady had Gronk, and then it was Edelman, and then it was Amendola, and it's almost like this year, it's. Weirdly, and I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be sentimental or anything, but it's kind of weirdly coming full circle. There's a weird sort of thing going on here where everyone seems to be. Edelman's older. He's clearly not Edelman anymore, and Gronk's older, and Brady's older. It's kind of like.
Who did they play in the Super Bowl 17 years ago to start off their dynasty?
Was it the Rams?
I know.
It was the Rams.
And it's just. It does feel like there's a lot of weird kind of stars aligning, and I'm not saying this is it.
I'm not saying this is it. Rams beat them. They're like, okay, we're done.
Or they beat Rams and they ride off into the sunset.
I think.
Well,
no, I don't think. again, different conversation for a different day, but I don't think Brady retires after this season.
I'm not saying he retires.
Even if he
I
wins,
don't think he's
even
come
if
out
he
and said
loses,
he won't, will he?
he's not going to.
I think he shouldn't. I don't know.
I think he's still got another few seasons.
They've got some big players to come out next year, don't they? Particularly on the O-line.
They do, but it's again with Belichick. Will he want to get rid of Gronk? Yeah. Would he want to get rid of 32-year-old Julian Edelman? Probably. He got rid of Amendola, and Amendola was arguably as effective as Edelman.
It was more Amendola got rid of the Patriots, wasn't it? Because the Patriots basically did their Patriots thing and said, yeah, you're worth this much, but we're going to offer you significantly less than that. And Amendola was like, look, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm going to Miami.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair, though. Because, I mean, you would keep Edelman if you could pay him less.
Patriots seem to be where players who are like washed up go, and then they suddenly have a great season.
Well, it's just like,
Gronk
do you remember
said that he would retire if he got traded?
Cordarrelle Patterson went to the Patriots. I don't know if I remember saying that's one of the most Patriots moves I can ever imagine in my life, because what have they done? Yeah. They've taken a player who he was a former first-round pick, wasn't he, for the Vikings?
I think so. He never lived up.
And anyway, basically became a return specialist, and in fairness to him, an incredible return specialist. But didn't get any really chance at wide receiver, which is what he was drafted to play. And he went to the Patriots, and Belichick, I can imagine, in this scenario in my head, sat down and just had a ponder. And Patterson has played wide receiver, and he's had some really good games. He's played running back for a couple of games and been incredibly effective, even if it's disgusting to see a running back wearing number 84. It's just the Patriots find a way to win, and I think that's probably the enduring message of the Chiefs game, was they found a way. It was in no way. It was domination at certain points. I was really worried for the Chiefs in the first half, and I think potentially I'm not necessarily a big believer in this whole idea of like the moment got to them, or they're like playoff inexperience. I think that experience really does help, and I think you could tell that on the Patriots team, because no one seemed bothered by the occasion really. Even someone like Michelle, because he's surrounded by a James White, a Tom Brady, Shaq Mason, players like that who've been there, done it. 9 straight AFC Championship games, another Super Bowl game. But I can't remember really what I was talking about. Basically, the Chiefs didn't vanish in the moment, but they just didn't have the nous, if that's the right word. Knew? I don't know.
They knew. Everyone knew their limitation going in was defense.
Yeah.
And they did nothing about it.
And the problem was, I think, in the first half, the defense performed as expected. The offense didn't. Yeah. It was the first game. Oh, no, actually, this might have been a Rams game. But either way, they didn't score any points on their first few drives.
The Rams game was similar,
Yeah, and
after the first quarter, I was very worried. After the second quarter, I was a bit more, because the Rams had brought it back. And then they went tit for tat for the second 2 quarters until...
Whereas with the Chiefs game, it was more kind of... They weren't there at the start, and then they just exploded, and suddenly they found something that was working, and they got Hill kind of moving, they got Kelsey moving, they got the run game going, and Mahomes just caught fire. And then from then on, it just became... I think arguably one of the problems for the Chiefs, and it's weird for me to say this because obviously I'm not necessarily a believer in the run... I am a believer in the run game, but other people value it more highly than I do, for sure. It's almost like the Chiefs' offense was too good in terms of moving the ball. And that Patriots first drive took 8 minutes off the clock. Yeah. Like, genuinely, I thought the game was going to be over by about 2 o'clock, because if they just ran the ball every play, that they were essentially kneeling the clock out, but moving down the field. And I think that maybe panicked the Chiefs, and they thought, we have to score instantly to kind of counteract it, and they went for the big plays.
No, I think that's right, because I think they've done that one too many times this year. In fact, I think it was the first Patriots game where it was one play, Tyreek Hill, 75-yard touchdown. It's like, that's great, but you've only taken off 10 seconds. Like, you need to learn to be patient.
Yeah.
And I think...
And it's not necessarily... I'm not saying they need to do a Patriots and run the ball every play. It's just...
No, but
when you scheme in... when you have someone like Mahomes at quarterback who can genuinely probably stand in one end zone and ping it to someone in the other... It's very, very... imagine me criticising Andy Reid's play calling, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's very easy to just kind of fall into this trap of like, you know, I can do this, so I will do this, and I will sucker punch the Patriots, and I will get the momentum back on my side, yada yada yada. Whereas actually, it might make more sense for you to take some time out of the game, calm your team down, give your defense a break, because let's be honest, that defense was on the field for a stupid amount of time, and if they weren't going to be effective to begin with, imagine how ineffective they were when they were absolutely knackered.
I mean, it was in overtime.
It was just,
and there was a point where the commentator was like, I think, it was Tony Romo was like, I'll take a timeout here. And Andy Reid didn't.
Andy Reid didn't call a timeout, and I don't know what he was waiting for, to be honest.
I think it's perfectly logical, though. I mean, when the Cowboys went 13-3, which should have been 14-2 had they not played the last game, they won because their defense they knew lacked. So what did they do? They run the ball. Time of possession is like 2/3 in their favour, and they win because you don't have time to win.
Or even the Jags team from last year, building a team on that run identity with that defense basically meant you kept the ball away from the opposition, you kept the ball away from the opposition, you kept the ball away from the opposition. Oh, hang on, we've kind of fooled today, we'll give the ball back to them. What's that? We're going to nab it straight back off you and get your defense straight back on. You know, it's an outdated way of winning, and I think you have to be very clever in order to implement it properly, because there's a high risk of it not working. But I mean,
where the Jags
it's Belichick and the Patriots.
Wrong with it is that the Patriots and the Chiefs...
Well, they drafted Fournette to begin with. That's where they went wrong.
The Patriots and the Chiefs both have the threat of the downfield, whereas the Jags kind of didn't. So,
and I think it was the Rams game, actually. I'm not sure whether you spoke about this, but the Rams offense took off when they finally got some shots to Cooks downfield.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Saints
they were
corners...
stopping Todd Gurley. There was a point where Todd Gurley was on -2 yards.
Yeah.
He only rushed for 10 yards the whole game.
And a touchdown. I think something's up either way. The Saints corners, what they were doing is basically just absolutely clothing the Rams receivers and basically saying, hey, look, you want to do your little dinky dunk play action bootleg roll out pass for 8 yards? No, not happening. And it took McVay a while to realise this, but once he had done it, and fair play to Goff, because that throw to Cooks before the half, I think, is what won them the game. If we're going to be like the media and we're going to pick one moment that defined the game, it's not that pass interference call, it was that pass to Cooks, because that set up the touchdown, that got them into half time, only 13-10 down, when, let's be honest, they've been absolutely dominated that first half. That Rams team was hot trash, apart from certain players, Donald. Nothing was happening. Oh, well, actually, that's being harsh. Their defense was playing really well, but the offense was rubbish, and somehow they managed to squeeze in only 3 points down at the half. That must have been such a downer on the Saints, to be like, how have we played this well and we're only up by 3 points? And it's something that I can't remember what the halftime score in the Chiefs game was, but I'm sure it wasn't that close.
It was 14-0.
Yeah. That's the difference for me. Is that Rams game, they scored before the half, they went in with momentum, McVay was able to use that as a rallying point. The Saints probably, no matter what Peyton said, and I hate the man, but he's good at dealing with people and players, and he gets people to play for him. That's difficult to get people to stop kind of thinking in the back of their minds about, we shouldn't have let them run in there, we shouldn't have let that pass to Cooks, we shouldn't have let Gurley run it. Whereas in the Patriots game, Chiefs dressing room is, guys, come on. Patriots dressing room is we've done it again. Easy peasy. Just keep doing what you're doing. Really relaxed, really cool.
Whack out the Gatorade, just like...
Yeah. Probably not even Gatorade. Might have had, a couple beers or something.
I think, I don't want to criticise Andy Reid, but I think it comes down to him. Because how stupid do you have to be to just say, you know what? We're going to dare Tom Brady to beat us on our defense. Because that's what he was doing the whole game. The game plan, to me, again, was just like the Chargers in the sense that it made no sense.
They needed to do something different.
Even though the Chiefs got back into it, he still changed nothing defensively. So you're never going to win because you're playing from behind. And if you're playing so far from behind, all it takes is one score from the Patriots, 4. Yeah, exactly.
And I think they needed to... That it's something for the Rams, if you're listening to Sean McVay and Wade Phillips. They need to do something different, and I say that, but in fairness, the Rams have Donald, and he is different. So, I'm sure we'll talk over the next 2 weeks quite a lot about the Super Bowl and predictions for that, but I'm going to say right here, right now, Donald is going to be a game wrecker in that game. But the Chiefs defense needed to do something different. They needed to not do what the Chargers did and just basically ring up Brady and be like, "Hi, what game plan would you like us to play in order for you to have the best game possible? Oh, you want us to play soft zone coverage? Okay, sure, yeah, we'll do that for the whole game." They just needed to not be predictable, and they were so predictable. even like the Edelman interception that we spoke about, that should have been a completion for about 20 yards. And whether it was a throw, whether it was a catch, I'm not good enough to discern such narrow differences. Either way, they got an interception, big play, turned the game around. But actually, like, that was sheer luck.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't necessary. Well, it was luck on Kansas and poor execution on New England, on who I won't say, but there was nothing in that defense that actually, other than the fourth down stop, they didn't do anything to win the game for their team, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Mahomes and that offense, because
Mahomes has had a season.
They've given everything they had.
Yeah.
And there was one play, and he missed Damian Williams wide open, which would have been a walking touchdown. And it's the only thing I can think of.
The only mistake he made.
It's the only mistake he made the whole game. And would it have made a difference? I doubt it, because it was so early in the game that the Patriots are the Patriots. They're going to be able to adjust to that. And because of that, I can't fault him for anything he did.
Even, the play after that, his O-line letting up the sack, that was arguably more impactful, because at least they would have got some points on the board.
Yeah. So, in the end, it's same old story for Chiefs, and ironically, same old story for the Patriots.
Yeah. It's almost like we predicted it or something.
I know.
Did you predict?
We predicted Patriots.
Yeah, but did you pick Rams Patriots?
Yeah, I did actually.
I think you did.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Mystic Column strikes again.
Here we go. The guy that didn't even think Jared Goff was any good,
Claiming
that he picked him to win.
Let's hark back to 2017 when I said he was good.
On a different note, my friend has pointed out something very good about this, though, is it does mean that I'm going to have almost everyone on my side, because no one wants the Patriots to win again.
I might support the Patriots.
Oh, please don't.
It's funny to wind Mark up.
Are you going to
go, Tom? He's 41. He's got 5 rings.
I mean,
look at that throw.
He's already got a hand. He doesn't need any more.
Yeah, but how cool would it be to have 6 rings?
No.
We have a minute left, so if we just kind of on the spot how we feel.
Okay, yeah, go on.
About what's going to happen between these two teams.
I'm excited. I think
very
it's
excited.
The best offensive mind in the game versus the best head coach in the game.
Wait, which way round are you going?
Belichick is not the best offensive mind.
And nor is McVay the best defensive mind.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could argue that he's the best head coach in the game.
What, McVay?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Yeah, it's an argument to have. Yeah, he won Coach of the Year last year, and he's turned this Rams team. Can we just comment? This Rams team has gone from Jeff Fisher beyond mediocrity, the worst team in the league, the most uninspiring team in the league, to the team that everyone wants to support and everyone kind of enjoys watching. What a guy McVay is. He is completely, he's not just transformed the Rams, he's transformed Los Angeles.
He's transformed the league.
Let's do it, man. McVay, if you ever want to come on the show, you've got 2 fans over here. Well, 3 actually. Max, I feel like you'd never argue with McVay.
No. But yeah, so anyway, it's going to be a great couple of weeks kind of leading into the Super Bowl
we've
this
got
year.
A lot of stuff coming up.
Looking forward to it. We have like 10 seconds left. So yeah, thanks for listening. It actually didn't end up being that much of a car wreck. So we'll see you on Friday at 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Mark.
Goodbye.
9 a.m.